देखिले सेटा बरम बेटर हो जम्मा यारसोड मुंडरे पसंद नहीं यारसोड कथा सुनतनी एडा हला सेटा जम्मा सेट मुंडरे पसंद खाली आपन माने नर्वसनेस बढ़ियो कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल जम्मा बढ़ियो नहीं आवश्यक एब्सोल्युटली दरकार ही नहीं बुझछन तेणु सेटा बिल्कुल करंतु नहीं सिंपली गुरुवार आज सोमवार बुधवार की गुरुवार से उड़ा कर दे मत इसके सारे गाइड वो भी सारा अच्छी गाइड को लेकर तब गाइड को चिकन से ते नर्वसनेस पे एडी सारे आपन हो जाएगी कहले हमर संग भी एडी अच्छा हमर ये सर सरोज सर मो संग से कहले सेटा सेठी जाओ मो तो पळे आसी कन्याकुमारी कोन जाई ठीक है आई विल टेक केयर ऑफ गुड मॉर्निंग let's start the discussion today. The first topic that we'll take is on India-Egypt relation or the latest development on that. Fine. So, India has invited Egypt as a special guest for the G20 summit. We show our age-old relationship. The president of Egypt, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the chief guest at the 74th Republic Day parade. So, Egyptian president was the chief guest at this year's Republic Day parade, and as our gesture of friendship, we have invited him to be an outreach participant. What a participant? Egypt not a member of G20, but we have invited Egypt to the G20 summit as an outreach country. As what? What I have told you? As an outreach country. The host country is given the freedom to invite some country to the summit, although they are not the member of the organization. They are called as the outreach countries, whom the host country may invite. Okay, India-Egypt relation. India and Egypt, two of the world's oldest civilization. Mesopotamian civilization. Okay, up in Indus Valley civilization. Okay. Okay, so have enjoyed a history of close contact from ancient times. Even prior to the Common Era, Ashok's edict referred to these relations with Egypt under Ptolemy II. In modern times, Mahatma Gandhi and Egyptian revolutionary Said Jagoul shared a common goal on independence from British colonial rule, and the two nations made a joint announcement of the establishment of diplomatic relations at the ambassadorial level 3 days after India became independent. That means this expresses the closeness between the two countries, how close these two countries are. The two countries are celebrating 75th anniversary of establishing diplomatic ties this year. A friendship treaty was signed between the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and President Abdel Nasser of Egypt. The non-aligned movement was a natural commitment of this relationship, because you know few countries who took the lead in the formation of NAM, non-alignment movement. One among them was Egypt. Okay, like Indonesia, like Ghana. Okay, so similarly, the president of Egypt was one among the founder of the non-alignment movement in the Cold War era, where the government of those country, or the leaders of those country, decided to be aloof from the superpower politics or bloc politics and follow independent foreign policy by being member of the non-alignment movement. Fine. Relations in 2014. The year 2015 has seen more intense political cooperation. Okay, more intense political cooperation. Okay, between the two countries with regular interaction at the leadership and ministerial level. Prime Minister Modi met President Sisi on the sideline of the United Nations General Assembly in New York in September 2015. The talk focused on counter-terrorism, deepening economic engagement, and on regional issues. What they discussed when they first time meet in the sideline of the meeting is the terrorism, economic engagement, and regional issues. The ties have been on an upswing in the recent past, and both delegations supported reform of the UN Security Council, where Egypt was a non-permanent member during 1617 and India had a similar stint during 21-22. Both the country have the experience of being non-permanent member in the UNSC, and in the proposed reforms for this, so they want. Okay. The tie have been on upswing in the recent past, and both delegations supported reform of the UN Security Council, where Egypt was a non-permanent member, so also India, because both have experience of being member of the United Nations Security Council. So they want reforms in that. Okay, because reform will make it more democratic and more representative. Moving forward, country development. India and Egypt signed 5 MOU covering culture, cooperation in youth matters, cyber security, information and technology, public broadcasting. Okay. They reaffirmed their commitment to multilateralism, the principle of the United Nations Charter, international law, the founding value of the non-aligned movement, the respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states. They agreed to initiate new engagement to intensify military to military engagements and plan more joint exercises in the armed forces of the two countries. They agreed to fight terrorism in all forms, including cross-border terrorism, and intensify consultation between their respective national security council because terrorism was a big threat to the entire world in general and to India in particular. So also Egypt is much concerned about the threat of terrorism to India. So that is why they agreed to cooperate in this particular matter. Okay, so they have expressed exploring the possibility of land allocation to Indian industry at the Suez Canal economic zone. The Suez Canal connects the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea. It is one of the world's biggest trade routes. As of now, the trade route is essential to keep alive around 12% of global trade that passes through it each day. That means the Suez Canal is one of the biggest route of international trading. Okay, and the government of Egypt want to create the Suez Canal economic zone, and government of India is expecting that. Okay, so okay, so Egypt, the most populous country in West Asia, occupy a crucial geostrategic location. 12% of the global trade passes through the Suez Canal, and it is a key player in the region. It is a major market for India and can act as a gateway to the both Europe and Africa. It also has bilateral trade pacts with important West Asian and African nations because Egypt is one among the developed country in its own region, right? And even its person became UN Secretary General. Okay, Egypt's relation with India was also helped by its display of pragmatism, especially in the backdrop of the Nupur Sharma controversy in 2022, where Cairo maintained silence while certain Gulf countries were vocal in India's criticism. The joint cooperation will help eliminate violence because the spread of violence, terrorism, and extremist ideology represents a serious threat not only to the two countries but also to all countries around the world. India and Egypt are worried about the spread of terrorism happening around the world, and they are unanimous that terrorism is the most serious security threat. Okay, both have realized that terrorism is among the most important security threat to both the countries. Okay. Okay. So India and Egypt are worried about the spread of terrorism happening around the world, and they are unanimous that terrorism is the most serious security threat to humanity. Misuse of cyberspace to spread extremist ideology and radicalism is growing finance, like the ISIS using the cyber world to spread terrorism. Egypt's economy has been in shambles over the past few years. It was battered by the collapse of tourism during the pandemic, and the Russia-Ukraine war has impacted its supply of food. Almost 80% of Egypt's grain came from those two countries and hit its foreign exchange reserve. Despite restrictions on the export of wheat, India has last year allowed shipment of 61,500 metric tons to Egypt, but the country needs more. Okay, so India has come to the rescue of Egypt when its grain import from Ukraine and Russia was affected by the war. So India came to the rescue and started supplying this requirement. China's bilateral trade with Egypt is currently 15 billion, double that of India 7.26 billion in 21-22. Sisi has been owing Chinese investment and has traveled to China as many as 7 times in the last 8 years. Because the Egyptian president or leaders feel that Chinese investment in the country can improve their economic conditions, and that is why they are with the president has visited many times China many times and met the leaders there. Okay, just to okay, more than 6 decades ago, the two countries concerted action necessary to crush terrorism, and they will have to together alert the international community. More than 6 decades ago, the two countries funded the non-alignment movement. They now have an opportunity to forget for a new patch ahead, not just for their strategic and economic interest, but as the voice of the global south. Okay. So recently, India hosted the meeting of the voice of the global south. Okay. 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 More than 6 years ago, the two countries funded the non-alignment movement, and now success depends upon the active cooperation of the founding members, and so it is one. India is one among the founding members, okay, of the non-alignment, okay, along with Egypt. Fine. Then the next topic will be taking about the polity topic regarding the autonomy at the panchayat level. Sarpanch in Telangana's Jaisankar Bhopal Flight district died by suicide due to indebtedness. Okay, the Sarpanch who is supposed to lead the PRI, okay, and be an agent of development has committed suicide. Okay, so see, if this is the situation, then what about the common people? Okay, what about the common people? Okay, the problem autonomy at the panchayat level more than 3 decades after the 73rd 74th Amendment Act, which gave constitutional status to local government, state government through the local bureaucracy, continue to Okay. So the problem of autonomy at the panchayat level, 3 decades after the 73rd Amendment Act, which gave constitutional status to local government, state government to the local bureaucracy continue to exercise considerable discretionary authority and influence over the panchayats. In India, the power of the local elected officials, the Sarpanch in Telangana, remains seriously circumscribed, thereby diluting the spirit of the constitutional amendment seeking to empower locally elected officials. Okay, so why the 73rd 74th Amendment was made? It was made to give power to the grassroots level leaders. Okay. So in India, the power of local elected officials, Sarpanch and Telangana remains seriously circumscribed. They were diluting the spirit of the constitutional amendment seeking to empower locally elected officials because the bureaucracy is not willing to devolve the power to the elected people. Broadly, the panchayat have three main sources of funds: their own source of revenue, local taxes, revenue from common property, resources, etc., is very less. Granted from the center and state government and discretionary or scheme-based funds. Three different funding for the PRH. Okay, but the most important one is their own taxes or own source of revenue, which is very less as compared to the other sources like the grant in aid from the center and the state, which covers a substantial part, and for that they have to uh, depend on the center and the state. Right? Their own source of revenue, both tax and non-tax, constitute a tiny proportion of overall panchayat funds. Gram panchayats remain fiscally dependent on grants from the state and center for everyday activities. Access to discretionary grant for panchayat remain contingent on political and bureaucratic connections. When a higher level of government allocate funds to local government, sarpanch need help accessing them. Because so although central government is right now directly giving funds to the. Okay, so access to discretionary grant for panchayat remains contingent on political and bureaucratic connections. When higher level of government allocate fund to local government, Sarpanch need help accessing them. Delay in the disbursement of the fund by the local bureaucracy have led to pressure on Sarpanch leading to some to end their life. Sarpanch are forced to use private fund for panchayat activity, then make the bill and get the bill passed by the local officials, especially the block development officer, because who control the fund. Double authorization for spending, the Sarpanch and the Panchayat secretary who will put the block development officer must co-sign check issue for payment from Panchayat funds. State control political supervision. Gram Panchayat Act in many states have empowered district level bureaucrats, mostly district collector, to act against Sarpanch for official misconduct. Unlike elected officials at other level, Sarpanch have been dismissed while in office. For example, Section 37 of Telangana Gram Panchayat Act allowed district collector to suspend and dismiss incumbent sarpanchas. That although he is elected or she is elected, but the bureaucracy has power to dismiss him. Less discretionary power of sarpanch, the ability of sarpanch to exercise administrative control over local employee is limited because they don't have that discretionary power under this. Sarpanch need to be in a good book of politicians and local bureaucrats. Uh, each word access to discretionary resources, timely disbursement of funds, and be able to successfully execute any project and program in their village because they must be close to the political part, so also the bureaucratic part. No conceptual clarity in power distribution. While establishing Panchayat Raj bodies, uniform pattern was not uniform pattern is adopted for creating units and identifying the units of planning and development. The distribution of functions and powers among the Panchayat institutions, between the Panchayat institution and the state government, between the Panchayat institution and the central government have not been made on the basis of any sound principle. So what is the power? So how they will be distributed? Who will get more power? What is the power of which level? What is the power of the Panchayat? So how autonomous they are? These things have not been dealt in a very clear and formal manner. Okay, there is a great deal of confusion, overlapping, and sometimes duplication in the function. Structural challenges: the expertise available to the Panchayat institutions very limited, particularly in the field of planning, implementation, or monitoring of various developmental schemes. Planning at the grassroots level remains on paper, while there is a strong tendency towards centralization in the country. Socioeconomic and political conditions. The elected member at all the level of Panchayat Raj institutions and office bearer are normally from the rich and dominant section of the rural society. They have vested interest in preserving the existing system and would not do anything that would strengthen the position of the downtrodden in the area, because in case the position of the downtrodden is improved, so their own position will be diluted. Sometimes leadership of the Panchayat institutions act as a gatekeeper to prevent the flow benefits to the weaker sections of the rural community. Absence of statutory provisions, state may or may not constitute the Panchayat Raj institutions. For example, Nagaland, Meghalaya, and Mizoram, Panchayat institutions are not established. Similarly, in a number of states, elections have not been held regularly. The superseded bodies, even you can take example of Odisha, where Odisha, the urban local body election was delayed for a long period before it took place last year. Okay, so the superseded body have not been revived and they kept under the charge of special officers down from the civil service. When there is no one elected in the Bhubaneswar Municipal Corporation, the commissioner, who is a bureaucrat, and his team manage the corporation for a long period. The Panchayat institutions have been undermined by several constraints, particularly the constitutional constraint, which is very serious matter. So the sixth report of the second ARC can be implemented for better and effective functioning of the Panchayat institutions. Clear-cut demarcation of functions of each tier of the government in the case of each subject matter law. In the case of new law, it will be advisable to add a local government memorandum to state their role. Fiscal autonomy accompanied by fiscal accountability. Okay, that genuine fiscal federalism can provide a long-term solution. Capacity building for self-governance. In rural areas, local self-governing institutions must attend to both the organization building requirements as also the professional and skill upgradation of individuals associated with these bodies, whether elected or appointed. Access to debt capital market can provide them with the scope for planned infrastructure development. Local bodies need to substantially improve their overall administrative and technical capacities to access debt, particularly long-term funds. So they can, what is called the panchayat, that municipality bond, the panchayat bond are also right now being given the option to issue the bond by which, so they will be able to generate money. Okay. Okay. Member of Parliament, then training should be imparted to the members of the Panchayat which requires expertise and resources from various subject matter specific training institutions. Then setting reasonable tax and fee rates, improving collection efficiencies and expanding financing mechanism to ensure buoyancy of the revenue over time. Member of Parliament local area development schemes or MP-led scheme can fund can be utilized in effective manner. The State Finance Commission, state have to set up State Finance Commission to synchronize as per the 73rd 74th Amendment Act. Okay. Okay. So the State Finance Commission has been provided as per the 73rd 74th Amendment Act to look after the financial requirement of. Okay. Okay. So the action taken report on the recommendation of the State Finance Commission must compulsorily be placed in the concerned state legislature within 6 months of submission and followed with an annual statement on the devolution made and grants given to the individual local bodies. Okay. If these are done properly, then definitely the Panchayat Raj institutions will be able to enjoy power and the elected representatives will get due recognition, okay, in the system for which they will feel that the elected representatives, okay, are able to enjoy the power given to them by the constitution, so they can do something better for their own people with the power given to them. Fine. Then the next topic is the Bharat Parva. Okay. The 6 day mega event, Bharat Parva event, is being organized by the government of India in the front of the Red Fort, Delhi from 26th to 31st January 2023 as part of the Republic Day celebration. Every year, like every year, this year also, the Bharat Parva is being organized from the day of the Republic Day till the 31st of the month of January. The Ministry of Tourism has been designed as a nodal ministry for the event, the highlight of which will be include showcasing the best Republic Day parade double at the doublets at the venue, cultural performance by the general cultural centers as well as cultural troops from the states union territory, a pan-India food court and a pan-India craft bazaar with 65 handicraft stalls. Bharat Parva was previously held in 2016, 17, 18, 19 and 2020 and virtual in the year 2021. This is a regular event. Fine. Major components, the every event would have a food. Okay. Major component, the event would have a food festival, handicraft mela, folk and tribal dance performance, performance by cultural troops, a display of Republic Day tablets, illumination of the Red Fort, etc. Branding and promotion of Dekho Apna Desh, Ek Bharat Shrestha Bharat. Okay, so this and the mission life would be undertaken during the event because government want to use this particular event to. Okay, then the next is very interesting, the halwa ceremony. Okay, so okay. In the news, the halwa ceremony marking the final stage of the budget preparation process of Union Budget 23-24 was held recently. Okay, okay. So it is a customary ceremony in which traditional dessert halwa is prepared and served to officials and staff members of the finance ministry. Okay. So it is a customary ceremony in which traditional dessert halwa is prepared and served to official staff members of the finance ministry who are involved in the preparation of the budget. It is performed every year before the lock-in process of budget preparation begins. What is lock-in process? We'll explain what is lock-in process. Okay, the custom has been part of the budget traditions for a long period. Okay, for decades. What is the lock-in period? Okay. All the officials involved in the budget preparations will stay at the North Block, the Ministry's headquarters. Okay. This is done to make sure that the secrecy of the Union budget is maintained. They are blocked. This is done to make sure that the secrecy of the original budget is maintained because the persons involved in the final stage of budget making, they are kept isolated for a particular period. The moment the finance minister tables the union budget in the parliament, the locking period will conclude. Fine. Till that, they remain inside the finance ministry without any touch with the outside world, any interaction. Okay. The Union Budget of India referred to as the annual financial statement under Article 112 of the Constitution of India is the annual budget of the Republic of India presented each year by the Finance Minister. The Finance Minister, so what is budget? Budget is an estimate of annual income and expenditure for the upcoming financial year presented by the Finance Minister in the Parliament and before the beginning of the financial year. Earlier it was in the last day of February or the normal day of budget presentation, but it has been preponed to 1st of February to facilitate early implementation of the budgetary provisions and early completion of the work. So, leading to no overrun, cost or time overrun of the projects. Okay. The budget has been presented, passed by the House before it come into effect on 1st April, the start India's financial year. As India's financial year starts from 1st of April, so the budget presentation has been preponed by nearly a month from the last of February to 1st of February. So by 1st of April, the budget is approved and the fund provided. So different ministry can start their work in time. Okay, and they'll be able to, okay, complete it in time. Earlier, the issue was so time and cost of borrowing because the budget was introduced the first of last of February. It took time to be passed, and so 1st of April, the new year, new financial year. So budget is not approved. So an amount or interim budget is passed to sanction the money, and the full and final amount of the budget to the different ministry is given much or disbursed much later. That delay the process of implementation. Fine. The budget has been passed by the House. It can be come into effect on 1st April, the start of the India's financial year. Until 1999, the Indian budget was presented at 5 p.m. on the last working day of February as per British era tradition. Starting 2017, it was presented to February 1st. In 2019, Nirmala Sitharaman became the second woman to have presented the budget after Indira Gandhi, who has presented the budget for the financial year 1970-71. Till 2017, the budget for the railway and union budget were presented separately. But in 2017, the budgets of the union and the railway merged. Okay. After being presented separately for 92 years, the railway budget was merged in the union budget in the year 2017 and presented together by the finance minister. Earlier, so the railway budget was prepared and presented by the railway minister before the general budget, which is presented by the finance minister. But since the year 2017, both the earlier budget and the under budget are presented at the same time, and both are presented by the finance minister. Okay. Then the next topic will go to the Aditya L1 mission to Sun. ISRO, India's premier space agency. Okay. ISRO is planning to launch Aditya L1 mission by June or July this year. This is the mission of ISRO to Sun. Okay. It will provide greater advantage of the observing the solar activity and its effect on space weather. Okay, objective the study of the dynamic nature of the sun's outermost layer, the corona, and the chromosphere, and gather information about coronal mass ejection. Okay. Okay. The study of the dynamic nature of the sun's outermost layer, the corona, and the chromosphere, and gather information about the coronal mass ejection. Study on the origin of the solar flares and their direction via the interplanetary space from the sun to the earth. The examination will also include the collection of data for space weather prediction. Okay. Then this is a very prospective mission of India because India plans to launch this mission. Okay, and join the club of very few who became space power to launch a mission to the sun, like the Barker Solar Mission of NASA of USA, which is a mission to explore the sun. And India is another country which has explored or which has planned to explore the sun. Fine. Then the Iticopa toys, the Indian confer Padma Shri to Mr. Raju in the art category as an honor to the Itikopaka wooden toy craft, which he has championed. Their traditional toy of Andhra Pradesh. These traditional toy are made by artisans in Itikoppa village located to the back of river Baraha in Visakhapatnam district of the state. They are provided GI tag. The art of making traditional wooden Itikopaka toy is more than 400 years old, and it has been traditionally handed over to them by their ancestors through generations. The art of this toy making is also known as turnwood luck craft. Okay, so they are called luck toys. Okay, while making the toy, luck a colorless resin secretion from the numerous insects each use. That is why it is called the specification. The already prepared vegetable dye are further mixed to the lac during the processing of oxidation. After this process, the end product obtained is rich in color and the colored lacquer. The lac dye is used for decorating the Eticopa toys, which are exported to over the world. Thus, the toy are all called lacquer toys because of the application of lac coating. The wood used in the form of Ankurigara, okay, tree that is soft in nature. The natural dyes are prepared from seed, lac, bark, roots, and the leaves. Very traditional, very natural products are used in preparing this particular type of toys for which it has got the geographical indication tag. Okay, then assess the role of UNESCO World Heritage Status in safeguarding Indian art and heritage. United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO seek to encourage the identification and protection uh, and preservation of the Okay. So, seek to encourage the identification, protection, and preservation of cultural and natural heritage around the world, considered to be of outstanding value to humanity. This is embodied in the international treaty called the Convention concerning the protection of world culture and natural heritage, adopted by UNESCO in 1972. Dholavira in Gujarat and Ramappa Temple in Telangana are the latest Indian cities to be added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. Now there are 40 sites, UNESCO sites in India. 7 are natural sites, 32 cultural sites, and 1 mixed site. Indian site on the World Heritage List of the UNESCO. Every year, UNESCO add sites to its list, and 40 sites of India have been added in the UNESCO World Heritage List. Of the 40, 7 are natural sites, 32 cultural sites, and 1 is a mixed natural cultural site. Right. And so, what is the role? Encourage India to establish management plan and set up reporting system on the state of conservation of their World Heritage sites. Help the country to safeguard the World Heritage property by providing technical assistance and professional training. Provide emergency assistance for World Heritage sites in immediate danger. Support public awareness building activity for World Heritage conservation. Encourage participation of local population in the preservation of their cultural and natural heritage. Encourage international cooperation in the conservation of our world's cultural and natural heritage, encourage international cooperation in the conservation of our world cultural and natural heritage. There are many benefits to the property being inscribed on the World Heritage List, including increased tourist visitation, because they are advertised by UNESCO as World Heritage Sites of importance. So when a person from outside want to uh, plan to visit India, or visit any country, he usually looks at the World Heritage Sites of UNESCO, which are of international standard. If a country has a number of UNESCO sites, so the person is normally attracted to visit that particular country, because he or she will be able to see a number of heritage sites, okay, visiting that country which are international standard, because they have been well recognized by the United Nations or UNESCO. Okay, so increase employment opportunity and income of the local community because of tourism, uh, flow of tourists, and better management and protection of these places, because once a place is added in the UNESCO list, so they get international funding, international technology support, and expertise in their proper maintenance or their preservation and protection. Listing is often accompanied by greater scrutiny of the place given its international acknowledged importance, like the Ajanta Caves. Okay, a listed site gains international recognition and legal protection and can obtain funds from, among others, like the World Heritage Fund to facilitate its conservation under certain conditions. Despite the success of the World Heritage listing in promoting conservation, UNESCO administered projects have attracted criticism. This was caused by perceived underrepresentation of heritage sites outside Europe. Many in Europe have been added, but outside Europe they have added very few. Disputed decisions on site selection and the adverse impact of mass tourism on site unable to manage rapid growth in visitors number. Okay. A large lobbying industry has grown around the hours because World Heritage listing can significantly increase tourism returns. In 2016, the Australian government was reported to have successfully lobbied for greater barrier reef conservation efforts to remove from the UNESCO report titled World Heritage and Tourism List in a changing climate because the Great Barrier Reef, as they are added to the UNESCO, so many tourists visit that place that is affecting its ecologically. That's why the Australian government have requested to remove it from the list. Okay, being designed by UNESCO, World Heritage sites can cut out an obscure ruin or geological oddity into international prominence. Niti Aayog has initiated a nationwide effort to understand the current challenges for heritage management in India and to provide a future roadmap along with an appropriate branding of India's invaluable archaeological and building heritage. Fine. Then coming to the MCQs of the day, consider the following statement about the United Nations Water Summit on Groundwater 2022. It is organized by the UN Water, UNESCO, and the International Groundwater Resource Assessment Center. This year theme was groundwater making the invisible visible. Groundwater management is imperative to meet the UN mandated SDG goal 6. Among the 17 goals set by the United General Assembly called the Sustainable Development Goal. So water is in that groundwater management is sustainable goal. SDG goal 6, number 6. So all the three are correct. Okay. So 1, 2, 3 answer is D. Holocaust, often seen in news, an event pertaining to historical conflict between the German Nazi and the Jews called the Holocaust, where the Germany ill treat or horribly kill the Jews. Okay, and the present Jews residing in Israel, they spread around the world. So that Nazi concentration camp, the Jews were tortured, killed inhumanly by the Nazi Germany under Hitler. Consider the following statement with reference to Indus Water Treaty between India and India and Pakistan. It was signed between India and Pakistan with the mediation of World Bank, right? Under the treaty, India got control over the western rivers, Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum. Okay, so this is wrong. Okay, so this is not correct. The treaty asks for a state of permanent Indus Commission by the United Nations for resolving any dispute. So 1 and 3 that may arise in water sharing. So here answer will be 1 and 3. Okay, so
ଦେଖିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ କାହିଁକିନା ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଗୁରୁବାର ଦିନ ଅଛି ନା ୟୁଟ୍ୟୁବ୍ ଅଛି 2:30 ରୁ 4:30 ଯାହା ଦେଖିଲେ ଗୁରୁବାର ଶନିବାର ଥାଏ ନା ଆପଣଙ୍କର
ମଙ୍ଗଳ ପୂଜା ଶୁକ୍ରବାର
ଶୁକ୍ରବାର ହଁ ସେଇଦିନ ଦେଇପାରିବେ
ଶୁକ୍ରବାର କଣ ଦେଇଛି ନା କଣ ଦେଇଛି ଦେଇଛି କଣ ଦେଇଛି
ହଁ ଶୁକ୍ରବାର ତ ଅଲରେଡି ଅଛି
କାଲି ସେ ନେଇଯିବ କହୁଛ
ହଁ ସେଟା ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି 31st ଆଉ 1 ବୋଲିକି ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆପଣ ମଣ୍ଡେ ଦେଇଦେବେ
ମ୍ୟାଟେରିଆଲଟା ରେଡି ହେଇନି
ଆଉ ଦେଖିବା କୋଉ ଦିନ ମୁଁ ଆପଣ ରେଡି କରନ୍ତୁ
ହେଲେ ଉଠେଇ ଦେଲ ତ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ହଁ ମେସେଜ ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ମେସେଜ
ଓକେ what is the following statement एक भी वाला संग्राम को दिया okay with respect to Indus Water Treaty so 1 and 3 are correct okay next the following statement about Cheetah are declared extinct in India from 1950s. African cheetah are listed as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, red list of 13 species. Recently, that Navradhi Wildlife Sanctuary, Madhya Pradesh is selected as the first site for reintroduction of the cheetah in India. Okay, so in 4, it is only 1 is correct, rest are incorrect because so cheetah came from Africa, okay, Namibia, but not to this particular sanctuary. And the following statement, inflation target is fixed by the Reserve Bank of India under the RBI Act 1935. Purchase price index is adopted as a key measure of inflation by the Bank of India. Now, India has adopted the flexible inflation target. Okay. In this, so 3 is only correct. The book Ramcharitmanas. Okay, so Ramcharitmanas by Tulsi Das. Okay, so poet Tulsi Das has written the Ramcharitmanas. So answer is A. Consider the following statement: the Asian water bird. Next question: the Asian water bird census 2023 has recorded 65% increase in the water bird in Thiruvananthapuram district, albeit with a slight dip in the uh, count of species. The annual census that are jointly conducted by the Wildlife India and the Social Forestry Wing of the Forest Department. Okay, in this case, both 1 and 2 are correct. Then 8, Lake Nasser in name after the Egyptian president Gamal Abdel Nasser, which is largely responsible for the lake's creation. It is a reservoir lake located between South Egypt and North Sudan. It is one of the largest man-made lake in the world. So for question number 8, all the 3 are correct. Next, the following statement regarding the Narcotic Control Bureau, the NCB. It is India's apex drug law enforcement agency with a mandate to coordinate action of various central and state agencies in the matters related to drug law in the country. Administrative control of the NCB is under the Union Ministry of Home Affairs. NCB also prepares national drug enforcement statistics. Okay, here all the 3 are correct, and right now NCB is led by Satyanarayan Pradhan, a dynamic officer from Odisha. Okay. The principle of leaving no one behind is associated with the following. It is the Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations. Leaving no one behind, because United Nations General Assembly has adopted the SDG goals for 2015 to 30, and here leaving no one behind is a tagline of the Sustainable Development Goal achievement between 15 to 30, 2015 2030 by the United Nations General Assembly.